What do I call you? Doctor?
My name is Max. And you?
Inspector.
What if Sherlock Holmes studied psychology under Sigmund Freud and solved murders in Europe's most beautiful cities? Well, that's basically the premise of Vienna Blood. Now, this is a crime mystery drama set in early 1900s Vienna, and it's available on Amazon Prime. Now, but here's the question. Is this hidden gem worth your time, or is it just another period detective show that you will forget a week later? Now, I recently finished season 1, and while there are things I absolutely love, there are also a few issues that stop me from completely falling in love with the series. Now, let's talk about acting, direction, cinematography, sets, and whether Vienna Blood deserves a place on your watch list.
We are witnessing the
let's
birth
talk
of a
about
whole
the premise
new
of
science.
Vienna Blood. Now, the
It
show
could take you to a very dark place.
young medical student.
Welcome
and
to the
the
case,
disciple of
Inspector.
Sigmund Freud, who teams up with detective Oscar Reinhardt to solve a series of disturbing murders throughout Vienna. Now, these murders take place around grand cafes, opera houses, theaters, and the elegant streets of Vienna during the Austro-Hungarian Empire. What immediately attracted me to the show is that it's not another American crime series. It's a fascinating blend of British, Australian talent that's telling a very close Viennese story. And one thing I generally appreciate about many European productions now is that they are often filmed entirely in English. Now, that makes them much easier to enjoy internationally without constantly reading subtitles. And for viewers who enjoy historical mysteries like Sherlock, Endeavour, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, or Babylon Berlin, Vienna Blood definitely enters those conversations. Now, let's talk about the Reinhardt and Lieberman partnership. The strongest aspect of the show is easily the relationship between Detective Reinhardt and Max Lieberman. At the beginning, Reinhardt isn't exactly thrilled about working with a medical student. In fact, he is skeptical. Now, he sees Max as an academic outsider who has no place in actual police work. But as the investigations continue, their relationship slowly evolves. Now, Reinhardt begins to realize that Max's understanding of psychology, behavior, and human motivation can uncover clues that traditional police methods cannot. Now, watching that trust develop becomes one of the most enjoyable parts of the season. By the end, they feel like a genuine investigative team rather than a forced partnership. It's not quite Sherlock and Watson levels of chemistry, but it is heading in that direction. Now, let's talk about the stories and mysteries. The cases themselves are easy to follow and generally engaging. That was my opinion. The show never becomes overly complicated. I mean, sometimes modern mystery series, they become so hard and they become clever that audiences will become confused. But Vienna Blood avoids that problem. The plots are straightforward enough to understand while maintaining suspense. And at the same time, I sometimes felt the solutions came a little bit too easily. I wanted more obstacles, more challenges, more dead ends, more moments where the detectives are genuinely stuck. Now, the mysteries are entertaining, but they don't always challenge the audience in the way that the very best detective shows would do. And there are several episodes where I felt that I could easily identify the culprit relatively early. Now, that's not necessarily bad, but it reduces some of that suspense and tension. Now, let's talk about Max's personal life. Now, in the show, they've explored Max's personal life, which adds another layer beyond the murder investigation. Max is preparing to get engaged, but his obsession with solving crimes begins to consume him. As the cases become more important, his personal relationships, as you see in the show, begins to suffer. Now, his engagement starts falling apart because he becomes completely preoccupied with his investigations. I actually liked this aspect of the story. It shows the cost of obsession. Now, many great detectives in fiction, they struggle to balance personal happiness with their passion of solving mysteries. And Max is no exception. Now, this show also touches on something historically important, and that is that Max comes from a Jewish family that's trying to establish themselves within the Viennese society. Now, there are social pressures, prejudice, resistance from some members of the elite society. These elements help ground the series in the reality of the early 20th century Vienna rather than just simply use the period as a decoration. So that was also fascinating to me. Now, let's talk about the strange theater storyline. Now, one storyline that still leaves me in my head involves a woman Max encounters, who becomes transfixed by painting at a theater. Now, this incident feels mysterious and important. Max also becomes fascinated by her, and eventually he develops feelings for her. But even after finishing season 1, I wasn't completely satisfied with how this thread was explained. Perhaps later seasons will provide more context. If you have watched beyond season 1, let me know in the comments below, because I'm still trying to fully understand that storyline. The big question about Max, one thing I kept asking myself throughout the season was, why is Max still a medical student? Seriously, the man spends most of his time solving murders. He demonstrates investigative instincts, psychological insights, and deductive abilities that often surpass experienced detectives. Now, sometimes it feels like a stretch that a student consistently contributes so much to major criminal investigations, and at a certain point, I started to wonder whether he should simply become a full-time detective. His passion clearly lies there, and of course, that's the part of the show's charm. But it's also one of those things where viewers may need to support or suspend, I should say, disbelief occasionally. Now let's talk about the acting and performances. Matthew Beard delivers an excellent performance as Max Lieberman. He is definitely intelligent without being arrogant, curious without being annoying, and he effectively portrays someone torn between professional expectations and personal passion. Jürgen Maurer is equally impressive as Detective Reinhardt. His character could have easily become a stereotypical grumpy detective instant. Maurer gives him warmth, humanity, and subtle humor. So together they carry the show pretty well. Their performances are strong enough that I genuinely want to see where this partnership goes next and next.
Witnessing the birth of a whole new
Now, are they
science.
creating
It could take you to a very dark
on
place.
the level of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson?
Welcome to the
Yes,
case,
that's
Inspector.
really the challenge.
A Freudian
The
double
elements
act,
are in-
Vienna Blood,
Vegetable.
on BBC
At the
Two.
moment, I don't think most of the viewers will remember these characters in the same way they remember Sherlock Holmes, but the potential is definitely there, and time will tell whether Vienna Blood can reach that level. Now let's talk about the sets and production design. Now the sets are good without being spectacular. You have police stations, elegant homes, horse-drawn carriages, opera houses, the occasional grand Viennese location. Nothing really made me stop and say, wow. But at the same time, the production successfully transports you to the early 1900s of Vienna. That's ultimately the most important thing. The world feels authentic. You believe you're living in that era. And for a historical drama, that's a significant achievement. Speaking of cinematography, the cinematography is interesting. Don't expect sweeping visual spectacles or vibrant postcard style photography. Most scenes take place indoors, whether it's homes, offices, hospitals, theaters, police stations. As a result, the visual style, it can feel darker and more intimate. That actually works in the show's favor. The shadows and muted colors, they contribute to the mystery atmosphere. It creates a subtle sense of unease that fits into these murder investigations. But still, I would have liked more ambitious exterior shots showcasing Vienna itself. The city is one of Europe's most beautiful capitals, and sometimes it feels
And you?
underutilized.
Inspector,
Speaking of direction, the direction is
I can
solid.
paint
The
you
pacing is smooth.
an image of the
The
killer.
stories are easy to follow, and the character
We are witnessing the birth of a
they
whole
are
new
developing
science.
it could take you to a very dark place.
That's always a good sign.
Welcome to the
At the
case,
same time,
Inspector.
I hope future seasons raise the stakes. I want tougher cases, more surprises, greater challenges, more situations where our heroes genuinely struggle before reaching a solution. But I think Vienna Blood does offer an excellent foundation. Now the show just needs to build on it. Now here's my final verdict, guys. Is Vienna Blood worth watching? Now, if you love historical dramas, psychological mysteries, detective stories, and European settings, absolutely. If you are expecting the complexity of Sherlock or the intensity of darker crime thrillers, you may find this to be a little too straightforward. For me, the biggest strengths are Matthew Beard and Jürgen Maurer's performance, the historical Vienna setting, partnership between Max and Reinhardt, the psychological elements inspired by Freud. The biggest weaknesses here are, like, there are some mysteries that are easy, they feel too easy. Certain storylines, they remain unclear. Max occasionally seems unrealistically brilliant for an initial entry. The visual presentation can feel limited as well. So my final rating for Vienna Blood Season 1 is 6 out of 10, guys. This is a good historical mystery series with strong performances and plenty of potential, but one that still hasn't reached its full potential. Have you watched Vienna Blood? Do you think Max Lieberman could become Austria's answer to Sherlock Holmes, or does the show need more work before it reaches that level? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy discovering hidden historical dramas, mystery series, underrated international shows that most people miss, make sure to subscribe. This is where we will recommend you all those shows. And every week I'll be reviewing more shows from around the world so you can spend less time searching and more time watching great content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next review. Thank you so much. Bye.